Let's talk about borders. Borders are a must thing for a child. Without borders, he won't be able to develop himself. What the idea is, the idea behind borders is that you cannot develop yourself unless you know in which direction you should discover your inner powers. A child without borders won't know how to develop himself. It would have so many options, so it will be very difficult for him to decide which option to adopt, which way to go. So every child must have borders. It's very clear. But there are two kinds of borders. There are those external borders and there are internal borders. And external borders are only a tool. Sometimes you can use them, use you will use them too much, you will destroy the child. And there are times that you won't use them, you will lose the child. What is an external border? External border is the one that I put on or to the child. Like I'm telling him, you cannot go that way. You should go to sleep at 9 p.m. You should do that. You should not eat your sister. This is an external border. Why is it an external? Because I tell him what to do, where to go, how to act. It does not come from his own decision. Internal border is something else. Internal border, it's he choose not to eat his sister. He choose to go to sleep at 9 p.m. He choose the way he acts, the way he goes. He choose not to. He choose his own borders. External borders are those that I put to him. I point and I say no, don't go that way. And good, very good external border are those that I do not emphasize what is wrong, where you should not go, but I emphasize where you should go, what is the right path, how you should do the things. So it's a very important idea, not to just to look for the negativity in the border, but to look for the positivity. But this is only external border. An external border, there is only a tool. Sometimes you should use it, sometimes you should not. But it's not the art, it's not the cream of education and parenting. It's not the most important thing of parenting. The most important thing of parenting is the internal border. What are the internal borders? Internal borders are those that the child choose by his own. He put to himself the border. He decide that this border he want to adopt. And there is a major, there is an opposite connection between external borders and internal borders. What is the connection? The more we need to put external border, to shape, to point on the external border, that means that we didn't succeed in letting the child choose an internal border. What does it mean, internal border? It's ease. It's his decision. He knows why. He does not want to eat the last cake because he don't want to leave, not to leave others the opportunity to eat the cake. He does not eat his sister. Why? Because he knows he don't want to eat his sister. You know how she feels. You want to be connected to her. You want to feel compassion to her. So it's his decision. When I put the border, it's mine. When he put the border, it's his. And when someone do something because of his decision, that he took that decision, it's a whole different thing to do, because he do it with passion and with creativity, and he understand why he's doing that. And we said there is an opposite connection between the external border and the internal border. What is the connection? What are we talking about? The more you hear no, you get into a house and you hear no, 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 that means you didn't persuade the child or the children to adopt the inner borders. Why? Because when I have to tell them no, that means they didn't adopt that by themselves. It's not theirs. And so the more you hear no, that means it's very clear. The more I have to, the more external borders we have. Let's uh, 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 let's say it like that. The more external borders that I have to use, that means that the child adopted less internal borders. It's not his. The more internal borders that we have, that the child has, the less external border that you have to put. because it does not need you to tell him not to do that, not to use it, not to go to sleep early or whatever. So the most important thing, or the cream of education and parenting, is what? Is internal border. And it's, one of the most important questions is, how can I persuade, why would my child adopt internal border? And it's very inward. It's very hard question, because when you solve it, it's not hard to understand. But when you succeed in that, in giving the right answer, that means that you succeed to educate really the child, because you take all your values, all your ideas, all of what you believe in, and you help him to believe it by himself. He also believes in what you believe. You do not need, to punish him, or to put punishing. It never works. Never do that. But never use punishing, because when you punish someone, you do not let him choose, understand, know what is the right path for him. You just tell him, no, you didn't act like that, and I will impose on you what I thought. So inner borders, inner boundaries are the most important one in education. How can you persuade the child to adopt um, inner borders? Ask yourself, when do you put yourself inner borders? When do you decide not to do something, not because of external authority that tell you not to do that? You do not eat cakes not because you have diabetes, or you don't want to get fat, because you decide. When do you decide? So there are two options. One option, as we said before, external border. I have diabetes. I know the doctor told me I should not eat cakes, so I do not eat cakes. This is external border. Internal borders, there are two levels in internal border. One level is, I decided not to eat the cake. Why? Because I want to be thin. And I know there are so many calories in this cake, so I cannot eat it. This is one level of internal border. But it is not yet the profound, or the real inner border that we want the child to adopt. Why? Because I'm doing something, and really I want something else. I'm like learning to, I'm doing all the, I'm getting ready to the exams, and I'm learning, and I do not go with hanging around with my friends. Why? Because I want to succeed in the test. What I really want, I don't want the test. I don't want to succeed. I want that after it, I will get the degree and I will have money. And so I want money. Why do I want money? Because I want confidence. I want security. I want people to estimate me, etc., etc. And so I don't really want this work, or this test. This is one level of internal border, internal boundaries that we put to ourselves. A higher level is the one that I put to myself because I'm connected to the idea itself. I am learning not in order to achieve something else. I am learning in order to achieve this thing. I want this thing. I want the thing that I'm learning. I feel the illumination of joy and pleasure while learning. If you ever solved exam, a question, exercise in mathematics, or if you ever learned something that fills you up, so you feel the joy, the joy that comes with the wisdom, with the understanding. It's illumination of enjoyment that you don't want it to replace with anything else. So the higher level of borders is not that I'm putting borders in order to achieve something else, is that I put borders in order to achieve the thing itself. And this is the most important border that we can persuade the child to adopt. What does it mean? That he's doing his homework, not in order to be a good child, that the teacher won't scream on him at class. He does not doing homework in order to achieve something else. He's doing his homework. Why? Because he finds in the homework something like pleasure, interest, curiosity, a lot of things that derives him that are higher than I am doing because I'm obliged. I'm doing because somebody told me. I'm doing because I want something else. So I have no other choice. I have to go through that. I have to finish that. So this higher border means that the child is all in with your ideas, with your values, with what you are trying to educate him to. It's not external thing. Go to to families that knows how to teach the children to adopt this inner border. They do not need to shout. They do not need um to tell the boy that if you won't do that, intimidate them and whatever. The boy is all in, is finding his interest with the thing that we are talking about, and is one with it. So he put himself his own borders. He does not eat his sister. Why? Because he understands her. He has compassion to her. He does not eat the last cake because he wants others to eat the cake. Not because he think what they will think about me. Not because he learned manners. Because he really wants the others, his surrounding, his friends, his family, to eat the cakes. He does not want to eat. He wants to eat the cake, but he wants them to eat more. And he's going to sleep early. Why? Because external border that I'm telling him go to sleep. Internal border that he knows that he needs to sleep. Why? Because he needs the powers for tomorrow. He needs to strengthen himself. So he's going to sleep. And so he's putting the border in order that he will develop his own powers, that he will reveal his inner strength. And the higher question, the biggest question is how? How do I persuade him to adopt this inner border? And the question and the answer is ask yourself. How do you, when do you are being connected really to something and you do not want to replace it with anything else, and you're ready to sacrifice? Without sacrificing, nobody can get advanced. You have to sacrifice yourself. You want to succeed in school. You have to sacrifice being outside with friends, seeing TV, being with electronics. You have to sacrifice something in order to develop yourself. You have to sacrifice. This is the secret of concealment, of tzimtzum. In Hebrew, it's not the tzimtzum. So you have, in order to push yourself forward, if you want to be an actor or a sportsman, in order to succeed in sport, you have to sacrifice what other people think about me, and hanging around with friends. So how do I put these borders? The real answer is that you have to find the illumination of pleasure in what you are doing. And in order to find the illumination of pleasure in what I'm doing, so I will convince myself to put those borders that we're talking about, the inner borders, I have to find the attachment. I have to be in touch with the thing that I'm doing itself and to feel the success. Criticizing, judgmental, they are killing the illumination of joy. When your child is trying to solve an exercise in mathematics, and now you are criticizing him, and you would never come to class, and you don't do that, and you don't do that, nothing will get out of you. You want him to feel the joy. You want him to feel the illumination of enjoyment. He will never succeed in that. In order to find it at the beginning, invite him, put pizza on the table, put things that he likes. Let him reveal the inner power of the thing that you want him to be connected to. Let him, identify himself with the values, with the idea, with what he's doing. And only then, when he's a part of it, he will put the borders by himself. Without the illumination of pleasure, he will do the things, but he will be so tired and lazy, and he won't really want to do that. And this is all the difference. When something is yours, you are in vain. You invest in it. You develop it. You give your heart. You give 100%, not 80, not 70, not 60. When something I need to do in order to achieve something else, or less than that. When it's external border, when I'm doing it that because you told me, and somebody told me, oh, I have to. You see your child when he's cleaning. Tell him to clean this room, and he will go to his room with his shoulders down, and okay, I'll clean the room. And most of the time he won't even clean the room. But if it is his room, and he can do whatever he likes with his room, and with the independence come the duty. And so if it is, he knows that he needs to clean it. And if it is, and so he will put the borders but himself, and he will find the pleasure in his room. He will like his room. It will be his room. What will be at the end? That he will clean his room, and he will feel, nobody tells me to clean my room. It's mine. So we talked about two kind of borders: external border, internal border. External border, if you put them, sometimes you need to put them, but they are not the target. They are only an external tool that we have. Internal border, it's something else. It's the cream of education and parenting, we said. And there are two levels. One level is that I'm putting to myself internal borders in order to achieve something else. And the higher level is that I'm doing it, I'm putting the borders because I want the thing itself. I really love the sport. So I'm ready to sacrifice hanging around with friends in order to achieve goals in that sport that I'm really into it. So it's the sport. I don't want the external thing around the sport, like the money or the chic or whatever, the way people look at me, or the new car, or what would I will gain when I will succeed in this sport. I want the thing itself, the sport itself, the success in the sport itself. That's why internal border is so important, because when we have internal border, it's like it's a part of the secret of concealment, of condensing something. Because in order to succeed, I always have to mute, to turn off all those channels that are open. And in order to turn off channels, I have to decide. I have to sacrifice. I have to choose. Whenever someone is choosing, is like preferring something, is losing other options. And sometimes people do not choose. They do not even get married because they don't want to lose the options. And when you do not, target yourself, sacrifice yourself, and being say I'm doing that, and I'm investing in that, and that's my thing. And without knowing this secret of concealment, of condensing, you will never be able to develop yourself, to gain something in life. But you want your child to know also this secret. How? The secret of inner borders. And when you have inner borders, you will develop yourself. You will know what your target, what your life mission. You can change it. But when I'm here, I'm only here. And when I do never do things that I have to. Whatever I'm doing, I want to do that. I'm belonging to that. This is mine. I decided. Nobody stressed me to that. Nobody obliged me to do that. It's my decision. Thank you very much, and subscribe to this channel. It's the English channel, which is we have also an Igbo channel. I subscribe, and so we will be able to upload more videos. Thank you very much, and see you in the next video.